Hey, it's me, MLV, back with Pool Chapter 6. This one is titled Good Riddance. He just gave you a very uncaring look and went back to drinking, having said his piece and been done with it, unwilling to fight. Thank you for your concern, but I am more than qualified for the job, and Principal Nezu, of whom I spoke to earlier, has taken my resume, so if he wants me there, then that's his prerogative. Who do you think you are, anyway? You huffed, tilting your head back and sculling your drink before stepping up beside Aizawa and slamming the empty glass down on the bench beside him before walking off. Do you really not like her that much? Hizashi commented to Aizawa, confused as to why he had been so negative towards a supposed random person. It's not like you to expand extra energy to dissuade someone like that. I like her a lot, Aizawa said with a smirk as he took another sip of his drink. She's confident in herself and has her eyes on the goal. I like that. Then why the hell did you shoot her down like that? He asked with surprise. You should have been more like, yo, you can do anything you set your mind to, he added, jumping up and pointing his fingers at Aizawa to emphasize his point. I'm not like that, Aizawa said in a bland tone. You should know me by now. Unfortunately, I do, Hizashi replied with a sigh as he slumped back down in the chair beside the blunt UA homeroom teacher. I just hope she doesn't get discouraged now because of what you said. If she does, then she doesn't deserve to get into UA, Aizawa said bluntly. But what I am going to do is go and talk to Nezu right now, he added, throwing down the rest of his drink and standing up. I'd like her as my assistant. Oh-ho! Hizashi sang cheekily. Like that, huh? Aizawa just looked at him and then walked off. You never denied it! Hizashi called after him. Who the hell does he think he is? Just because he opened for this conference, he thinks he's better than everyone else and could talk down to people? You thought angrily as you marched out of the hotel and threw your hand out angrily to try and flag down a taxi. Makes me want to get into UA so I can rub it in his face. But after this weekend, I'll probably never see him again, so I don't know how I'm going to do that. Your scowl changed to a smile as the taxi pulled up to the curb. Maybe next year's teachers' conference. You asked the taxi to take you back to your hotel, and once there, promptly went to bed, exhausted from jet lag and the emotional upset that had happened that day. For the rest of the conference, you completely ignored Aizawa and kept away from him as much as possible. And by ignored and kept away, it meant that you couldn't stop staring at him and was low-key hoping that he would come over and apologise or something so you could talk to him. Finally, the weekend ended, and you were on your way back home. Aizawa was on the same flight as you again, but this time he was not sitting next to you, and instead you were next to someone who insisted on talking about their sick auntie and how wonderful she had been before she was hospitalised. You were most empathetic at first, but after 6 hours of the same thing, you were starting to feel like disappearing into a sleeping bag like what Aizawa had done. I would have preferred to have been next to Aizawa, you thought as you forced another smile at the talkative traveller. It felt like a 3-day torture session by the time your plane touched down at the airport, and you numbly followed the crowd down to the bag collection site. I just want to get home, you thought wearily as you watched the bags slowly drag by on the conveyor belt. You were so zoned out that you completely forgot to grab your bag as it passed. Then, suddenly realising that it had passed you already, you lunged for it, trying to yank it off quickly. Your bag got jammed between two others as you pulled on it, and you slowly let your arms out with your quirks so that you wouldn't get in other people's way as it was dragged down the line. I'm losing strength, you cried internally, watching as your bag got further and further down the line as your arms stretched more and more. Suddenly, a very familiar figure stepped through the crowd and yanked your bag from the carousel. Zawa, you grunted lowly, not sure if you should scowl or smile at him since you hadn't spoken to him again since his last discouraging speech that night at the bar. You let go of your bag and retracted your arms, making your way through the crowd towards him to get your bag. Thanks, he said stiffly. He didn't say anything, just nodded as he handed your bag to you, making you even angrier that he hadn't even acknowledged your thanks with a word. You took the bag and spun away, heading for the exit gates. Don't forget to thank me tomorrow, you heard him say, and your eyes shot wide open as you prepared to turn around and give him a piece of your mind, but as you turned back, he disappeared into the crowd. The absolute gall of this guy, you thought, as your eyes scanned the people bustling around you. Good riddance, never to be seen again. You forced your triumph, slightly saddened that things hadn't gone better with him. You got out of the airport and caught another taxi, heading back to your place. You sighed with relief as your bum hit the stiff taxi seat. happy that you were back in your own country again, on the last leg home, looking forward to falling into bed and relaxing for the next few days before chasing up the potential UA job. Watch me, Aizawa. I'll prove you so wrong. You had just woken up the next morning and were making yourself a cup of tea when your phone rang. Picking it up, you saw that it was an unknown number and you deliberated if you should pick it up or not. Something inside you told you to answer it, so you did. "Hello, Yin Lin speaking," you said in a bright and professional voice. "Good morning, Miss Lin," a familiar chipper voice said from the other end of the line, and you recognised it immediately as Principal Nezu's voice. "Oh, good morning, Principal Nezu," you replied excitedly. And there ends Chapter 6. Stay tuned for Chapter 7.